Hi, this is me, Belinda Goodenough, and I'm going to talk about evidence-based practices. This is something that, as a school teacher, I've used quite a bit even before I started learning about autism and taking these courses that have been teaching me mega lots. Oh my goodness, the knowledge is just amazing how much we're learning from these classes. The evidence-based practices that I have used ongoing without even realizing it are the reinforcement, the positive reinforcement, compliments, find the good, praise it, minimize the negative, token charts. Let's see what else. The oh my goodness, there's so many of them. 27. Running errands, I guess that counts as exercise, and modeling, of course, and visual schedules, timers, work 10 minutes, you have 3 minutes Lego time. And the majority of my experience has been probably 10, well, I guess about half and half, 10 years of it has been classroom teaching, but not so much in the special ed arena. And a lot of it were charter schools, and then some private school teaching, and then the other probably 10 years of my experience has been working with charter schools in a one-on-one basis. When I was in a school district in Texas, almost said the name, I did have a class that was termed as life skills, and it just felt like it was a dumping ground, to be honest. It felt like they put these children in this class with the expectation, well, they're not going to succeed, they're not going to get very far, but do your best with them and keep them occupied until the 2:30 bus gets here. And the curriculum we used was unique, which I'm very fond of the unique curriculum. And there were levels 1, 2, and 3. So I had students in my class, kindergarten, first and second. One little fella had Down syndrome. One little girl was labeled as ID. And then the rest of my boys, the other 6, were diagnosed with autism. So I learned there is definitely a spectrum. The 7-year-old that leaned over my shoulder and said, illustrated by Travis Schaefer, and blew me out of the water, but didn't comprehend adding. And then the little fella that understood adding, but had no phonics skills and could not sound out the word wet. So a spectrum. It definitely was a spectrum. I do want to address the different modalities, the different evidence-based practices that I use. The antecedent-based intervention is definitely one. I'm definitely reading off a chart. Is one that I use all the time. Now that I am working with a clientele of about half of my 30 student caseload are diagnosed with autism, and when they do have the meltdowns, and I'm referring to Tyler in our reading this week, the little guy that the Faces of Autism on page 8 in the Iris model, that little guy, so reminiscent of this one little fellow that I work with. And the mom was stressing communication. If I only knew what it is he wants. And she had that picture board, I take it was a PEX, that he could point and it would speak for him, dinosaur, and more. This one little fella, he's about 9 years old, and he reminds me strongly of Tyler in the video. And his mother filled out, I did an ABC form on her, and I was going to choose her for my FBA, functional behavior assessment. For the last class, I was going to choose them. Actually, I think I did use them because I was going to use them but she dropped off in attendance, and I was supposed to observe the student for 2 hours to document, and I wasn't able to. But this little guy, the mother did fill out the interview, and the parent interview, and she stressed communication, and she expressed exactly what Tyler's mom said, as in his frustration, self-mutilating. He has scars on his little arm from scratching and biting and pinching himself, and he will do it with her as well when he's frustrated. His favorite thing is the iPad, the cell phone or the iPad, and really it sounds like noise to me because it's loud, the volume is up, and it's sometimes race cars, and it's just loud. Sometimes it's the alphabet songs and the alphabet letters, and he always seems to have it up full volume. And if it pauses, if it buffers, if any interruption in the flow, he becomes frustrated, and he doesn't have the communication to say, I am frustrated. But what his mother is teaching him is I need help. And when he says I need help, she knows to take it from him and to fix it, correct it, reboot it, whatever she has to do to keep it going. But, and he also is learning, she's teaching him to say I need a break. I notice that when I'm working with him on new concepts that he's struggling with, and he starts to get that look and tense up, and I reach my hands across and I gently put my hands over his hands on the table, and I just calmly say, it's okay, buddy, it's okay, it's okay, we don't have to do this, it's okay, we don't have to do this. And I'll redirect and do something else. Cognitive behavior intervention. This is definitely something I feel all of us educators are doing, is cognitively switching gears, thinking about, okay, that's not working, let's try something else. I mean, I have 4 subjects, okay? Social studies, history, social studies, math, science, English, and one little fella is very overwhelmed with math, but he loves to read. So, you know, to coerce him into coming into my room, I will have his favorite book sitting on the table. One of the things I have learned, this antecedent-based intervention, one of the fellas, I think it was Michael, kept saying, okay, what is it he said? He said, I'm out by. Michael, the 18-year-old, I'm out by. And it did say in the blurb around, you know, him, that it was talking about how he might be saying that because he had to leave a preferred activity to do a non-preferred activity, which was the interview. And this mother, for this one little guy that I did use for my FBA assessment work in the previous class, the antecedent is she takes his scooter out of the car, and he's on his scooter. We have a big wide open sidewalk right in front of my door, and if she always gets him there like 10 minutes early before his appointment, and I usually have another student in there that I'm trying to finish up and wrap it up. They come to me on the hour, and for an hour appointment, and that student is leaving as he's coming in. Well, get off your scooter and go do work with Mrs. Goodenough. Well, I wouldn't want to get off my scooter and go do schoolwork with Mrs. Goodenough if I were 7 years old. I would definitely not want to. And he'll come in. But his behavior will just go off. And he's my eloper. He's the little guy that likes to sharpen all my pencils. So another antecedent-based intervention that I've done is when I know he's coming, I hide the pencil sharpener. I have to hide all the goodies. I sometimes have to hide the pencils and the pens. If nothing else, he'll dump the pens out and take a pencil or pen and scribble all over the wall. So they're just things that I know he's coming. I have to prepare my room. That's an antecedent. Let's see, discrete trial teaching. And it is, excuse me if I don't have these memorized, instructional involving teacher and one student-centered, designed to teach appropriate behaviors. So I think we're always trying to work on behaviors that we want to see our students succeed in. And task analysis, I know we do that all the time. You know, if you can add, I'm going to try to work towards teaching you how to multiply. I did know that one of the young men that they were talking about, I think it was the guy that kept talking about Math Cafe. It wasn't Math Cafe, but it was a math program that he kept talking about. And the lady said, can you tell me more about it? And he just kept repeating. Well, I have a student like that too. He's in the middle grades. And this guy is amazing. I see him almost at 9 minutes. So this fella his memorization skills are amazing. If I show him a game adding decimals and he's never been introduced to decimals, and he sees he's failing the game, he will push himself until he succeeds. He can't tell you what he's doing. He can't explain it to you in words, but it's like a gift. He can put numbers in sequence, ordinal numbers, without having been exposed in the hundreds, and they're not in any timely fashion or order. He's just amazing. And he also is learning fractions just by computer games, like a Math Cafe type of a game. These young people are amazing, and it's like Tyler's mom said, there's potential there. Don't be put off. I have learned that. Don't be put off. Find where the gifts are. So functional behavior assessment is one I've used, definitely. We had to use that. Modeling I've used. Naturalistic intervention is definitely one of the evidence-based practices I would like to learn more about, and my time is up. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.